It's the biggest question of all. Is there a God in heaven? Every human being will consider this question at some point in their life. Stick around, we're going to do so in the short video today, and we're going to do so by considering the human brain. We'll sometimes take this sign with us about atheism to the VCU campus in Richmond. I'll admit we're trying to engage in a serious conversation with someone who claims to be an atheist. And we can show them in just a few minutes that there is no reasonable, no logical way that they can truly be an atheist. Or stated another way, no human being can know for sure that there is no God. Before we go further, it's probably a good idea to add a quick definition. By the term atheist, I mean someone who is absolutely sure he knows or claims to know that there is no God, there is no higher power, all is just nature. Or as atheist Richard Dawkins would say, nature has no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. And so stick around and we'll talk about how a Christian evangelist can use logic and reason and simply point to our little incredible brain to make their argument. Sometimes I have to laugh when I see or hear about an atheist proudly standing up and boldly proclaiming that there is no God when I know that's impossible for him or her to prove their claim. We come across atheists fairly often on the VCU campus, as you might imagine. You probably know some too, maybe a friend or family member or coworker. They will sometimes have their atheism on proud display as if to show that they're cool or relevant or intellectually superior to others, especially to Christians. So I understand that sometimes this can be intimidating, wanting you to prove to them that God exists, even mocking those of Christian faith. They may use their favorite straw man argument, saying that they believe in the flying spaghetti monster or claim to be a member of the Pastafarian church. It's funny in a way, but kind of sad that they spend so much of their efforts to disprove what they don't really want to believe in the first place. So here are a couple ways that a Christian can respond in a loving, effective way to the atheist in your life. 1, ask a professing atheist to prove that there is no God. After all, they're really making a truth claim whenever they say they're an atheist. They're the ones making a truth claim, and it's not up to us to prove their claim. That's their responsibility. Push back, ask them to prove what they claim, that there's no God. Give them a few moments to ponder how they're going to respond to this, how they're going to try to do it, and then go on to number 2. 2, show them that atheism defies logic. Logically, they cannot prove what they claim to believe because, well, to do so would require that person to be all-knowing themselves. If you think about it, for example, they would have to know for sure that there is no God in Australia or Africa or Antarctica, places that they've probably never been. But what about in space or any of the billions of galaxies that make up our universe, where God could be and they simply haven't run across? What if God really existed in any of these places where your atheist friend has never been? Otherwise, he's just making up a truth claim about what he can never know, what he has never personally experienced. Essentially, the atheist would have to be godlike themselves to know for sure that there's not another godlike being out there. As we can assert, no human being can positively prove the negative, that there is no God. Number 3, along that same line, we can also point to our own brain to further our argument. Consider for a moment the incredible, the amazing, the human brain, your brain, my brain, for example, with billions and billions of neurons capable of monitoring and controlling the trillions of cells that make up the various parts of your body. The human brain is absolutely a marvel, and we know that it's God-made, God-designed, and it's far too complex for any man to consider. The brain is able to use complex language, hold memories for years and years, have abstract thoughts, create music, art, or literature. But the trouble is that our brain still only weighs about 3 pounds, and it's clearly limited in what any one person can know or understand. Me, I couldn't even tell you how to make a toaster, or how tiny ants in my backyard, with their microscopic brains, can still be organized enough to sustain their little ant community. And every time I try to understand artificial intelligence, I just get a headache. My brain is very limited in what I can comprehend. As incredible as our little 3-pound brain is, and it is simply incapable of knowing very much at all in a universe that's simply filled with knowledge. Ask your atheist friend What percentage do you think you have of all human knowledge that has been discovered so far? Offer them options. 25% of all current human knowledge? No. How about 5%? 1%? So, knowing less than 1% of existing human knowledge, you are still confident that there can be no God? If you ask that question to even the most brilliant minds, the most intelligent humans, someone like Einstein, for example, they would likely admit that their personal knowledge of all things is very limited indeed, even the most brilliant among us. If they're being truthful, every one of them would have to admit that the sum total of their personal knowledge is tiny compared to the total of all current human knowledge. It's really the height of arrogance to claim to be absolutely sure that with our tiny little brain, our limited senses and cognitive abilities, that we can know for sure that there's no higher power, that there is no God. 4, offer agnosticism as an alternative. I would submit that it's more reasonable, more logical to admit to being an agnostic rather than continue to claim to be an atheist. After all, an agnostic is someone who does not know for sure whether there is a God or not. And being agnostic is more logical, more reasonable. Now, I'm not saying that being agnostic is where anyone should strive to be, but it is better and more logical than asserting to be an atheist. And agnostics should be willing to search for the truth, wherever that is, even if it leads them to discover the God that they have been resisting for so long. 5, ask the atheist to consider the consequences if they're wrong. Ask them, if you were wrong, would you want to know? It may very well be that they don't want to consider the possibility of God because they don't want to be accountable to anyone else, even to God. As apologist Frank Turek would say, that person is really on a happiness journey rather than a truth journey. I would suggest that it takes a huge amount of faith, you could say a blind faith, to be an atheist today. And I don't have enough faith to be that sort of an atheist. I cannot understand the concept of the Trinity, how one God in heaven can show himself to me as 3 persons. I can't understand why so many bad things happen to so many good people. There are lots of things that I cannot understand in this life. I don't have to understand everything around me. I won't, but I can understand those things that are most important. This much I know. I know that there is a God who revealed himself to me nearly 50 years ago in a very personal way, who loves me enough to offer his son as a sacrifice on the cross for my sins. I know that I have a friend in very high places, one who wants me to spend eternity with him. So don't let your friendly atheist intimidate you. Don't avoid talking to him or her about proving God's existence, about things that are really, really important to every person, to them, to you, to me, about eternity. Show them how you love them and about the God that you know and how they can come to know him too. If you've stayed with us this long, you likely have a heart for the lost and a passion for witnessing to others about Jesus. So please consider joining us at Evangelize RVA. We'd love to have you work alongside us for a day or for a season. We're certainly not the only ones doing evangelism in our city. We're one group of Christ followers from different churches united in a desire to tell others about Jesus. You can connect with this ministry at evangelizerva.org or evangelizerva@gmail.com. And if you've liked this video, please hit like and subscribe. It'll help bring others in connection with the ERVA. And check out these other videos on this channel too, including these. Richmond has so many spiritually lost people. Let's work together to take Jesus to every part of our city. And we'll see you in the next video.